quote you a little bit, and maybe this is part of the hot seat at first. Are you okay with this one? Let's start off with a little bit of a hot seat. Is that okay?
Let's do it.
You know I like you. You know that, right? I just want to make sure because I know you know how to
I
fight.
like the little disclaimer there, PBD.
All right. It's called love. So
I got a friend who's armed with a staccato over there.
So here's what you said years ago, and I think a lot of people today in America maybe are going through what you went through. You are somebody that was the vice chair for the DNC, I believe, right? You are somebody that supported Bernie, and you even talked about Bernie. You are somebody that even voted and supported for Biden. You are somebody that also in the past said to Crystal Ball and Soccer, look, there's no question in my mind that Donald Trump is unfit to serve as president and commander-in-chief. I've said this over and over again. I'm running for president to defeat him for that specific reason. Then in the past, you've said to ABC News senior Washington reporter Devin Dyer, I believe, stoking these racist feelings and stoking religious bigotry in this country, tearing apart an already divided country for his own political gain, is beneath the office of the presidency and undermines the very values and principles of our democracy. You've also said in another statement here, in 2020, you said in a statement following her vote, Tulsi said, I'm standing in the center and I've decided to vote present. This is in 2020. I could not in good conscience vote against impeachment because I believe President Trump is guilty. Then you've also come up and you told, I believe, Tapper, I just came from intelligence briefings from that the administration came and brought to Congress. Really, they provided vague comments, no justification whatsoever for this illegal and unconstitutional act of war President Trump took. You've also said, I can continue a bunch of different things you've said about this. Now, many of us have made a lot of comments in the past before. Many of us used to be a different side politically, but you may have been the one that's pissed off Democrats the most. Why did you leave the Democratic Party to be where you are today?
Every one of you has a book there where I go into detail about exactly why I did that. But, you know, there are a few different things that you cited there in those quotes, and we won't spend too much time dissecting every one of them, but I've made no secret about the fact that there were different decisions that President Trump made that I disagreed with. The one vote that you cited was I was the only Democrat in Congress who did not vote to impeach Donald Trump because I saw what that was exactly. It was a political witch hunt specifically for partisan reasons and how dangerous a precedent that sets. Our founding fathers warned against that impeachment being used for partisan purposes rather than for what it was actually intended for. I never got into the kind of personal smears and attacks that the Democrats did against Donald Trump when he was president, because I felt that for our political discourse in this country, whether we agree or we disagree, we need to stay focused on the substance. A lot has happened in our country from then until now. I was critical of my then party's president, Barack Obama, and earned the ire of Democrats at that time. Mm-hmm. I've been known to be an independent thinker and a straight shooter. My country comes first. It always has, it always will. That's what motivates the decisions that I've made. And ultimately what drove me to leave the Democratic Party was how could I, in good conscience, align myself with a party that at every step of the way has become the party that opposes freedom, that completely derides the Constitution and throws it in the trash, doesn't believe that it's relevant to our country today. And as we are seeing over and over, and it looks like we'll talk about some of these examples, at every turn, they are willing to undermine the rule of law and politicize all these government agencies, the Department of Justice, law enforcement, and so on, just to remain in power, going so far as to try to take away every one of our rights to decide who we want to vote for in this election. And they're doing that through the court of law. They've done it through over 32 states trying to get Donald Trump off of the ballot. They are so terrified of we, the American people, making, quote unquote, the wrong choice in their minds, that they are willing to take away our freedom to supposedly protect ourselves and, in their words, to save democracy, to destroy democracy in order to save it. But really what they're doing is just trying to protect themselves. But it shows that twisted mindset, and we saw it in the Supreme Court ruling on that Colorado case with the Colorado ballot, when unanimously the Supreme Court said no. The people decide elections. A court doesn't unilaterally get to decide who's allowed to be on a ballot and who's not. And the reaction from people like David Axelrod and senior Democrats and the Democrat elite across the board, they immediately criticized the Supreme Court, which included some of people from their team, and threw up their hands and said, oh gosh, I guess the American people have to be the ones to save our democracy. It shows that twisted mindset that I saw building over time throughout the time I was in the Democratic Party, and it got to a point where there was no way I could associate myself with them anymore.
You know why I'm asking that question? And by the way, for those of you that are watching, her book, did the book come out today or?
You guys are getting advanced copies, every one of you.
Right.
The book is not out yet. For those who have put in pre-orders, it will be in your mailbox on May 1st.
Yeah,
this
is by the way, everybody that's here is getting a signed copy by Tulsi, just so you know, before anybody else does. And for people out there that are watching, absolutely. Everybody here is getting a signed copy. And for everyone out there that's watching, Tulsi is officially on Connect. Rob, if you can show her Connect, the first 50 people that connect with Tulsi, we will send you a copy of the book as well signed. We bought copies to get it out there because we are so confident in her message being out there. We feel more people need to hear from her. So the first 50 that connect with Tulsi, ask her whatever questions you got, and those 50 names we'll get. We're going to send you a copy. Just make sure you're in America. If you're anywhere else outside of America, we're not shipping to you. If you're not in America, don't do the connect. Only in America we'll ship the copy to your first 50 states. Thank you for that. Let me go back to the question why I asked you. When I asked a question like that, it almost seems like it's an asshole question, right? Why would you bring something up like that? Why would you start off with something like that? I only bring that up because I think a lot of people in America feel that way, that maybe before, everybody had an impression of who he was and what he was doing because of what we were watching everywhere. And a lot of people got bamboozled where you're sitting there saying, man, this is really what's going on. He was really dealing with Russia. Was he really doing this? Is he really doing? And then year, 2 years, 3 years. Wait, this was all Hillary doing this to him, and she did it to you. So was there a part of it for you where you're sitting there saying, you guys are the Democratic Party. You guys are some deceptive, dark, gamifying, dividing America for at any cost to fool people just to win an election. Did you experience that kind of anger and agitation where you finally said, I'm done with you guys. You guys almost had me, but I'm out of here?
Yeah, yes, but I saw it very early on. I saw it throughout that 2016 campaign. I saw how the dangerous rhetoric, the Russian agent rhetoric they were using against Donald Trump during that campaign. And as a soldier and a veteran, when you have people in positions of power using that kind of dangerous rhetoric, it's not just empty words thrown around on a campaign trail. There are actually foreign policy related consequences and national security related consequences to that. I was invited to meet with Donald Trump 2 weeks after he was elected in 2016. This was right before Thanksgiving, and I was the first Democrat in Congress to go and meet with him. Flew from Hawaii to New York, and had a conversation with him about foreign policy. There were some folks around him who asked me to go and speak to him specifically about the Middle East, about combating radical Islamist terrorism, what's going on with ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And of course, I was grateful for the opportunity to go and meet the person who would be our next president, commander-in-chief. And we had a great conversation. It's point to point, sat across from his desk there in Trump Tower. We talked for almost an hour. He asked a lot of great questions, shared a lot of his insights. I did the same. And I can't even tell you how much my phone blew up as soon as I walked out of that building afterward. And one of the things that struck me was how so many of my Democrat colleagues back then, even some family members, they were horrified. They were horrified that I had the gall to meet with Donald Trump and criticized me for, quote unquote, humanizing him. That was probably one of the first things that I saw that just showed, what we now know as the Trump derangement syndrome. To me, any member of Congress who cares about the country and who cares about a specific issue, if you're invited to meet with the President of the United States and you don't take that opportunity, then you are doing a disservice to the people who voted you into office. Whether you agree with them or not on other issues, whether you like them, you don't like them, that's not the point. If you care about solving problems, if you care about actually doing the work of the people, of course, take every opportunity to do that. And it only escalated from there. And it was, conversations that happened in the cloakroom off the House floor in the Democratic caucus. People were unable to see things as they were, just from a substantive policy standpoint, and instead things very quickly devolved into some alternate reality that sounded like a good political talking point, but wasn't actually a reflection of what was happening.
For everyone out there that's watching, Tulsi is officially on Connect. Rob, if you can show her Connect, the first 50 people that connect with Tulsi, we will send you a copy of the book as well signed. We bought copies to get it out there because we are so confident in her message being out there. We feel more people need to hear from her. So the first 50 that connect with Tulsi, ask her whatever questions you got, and those 50 names we'll get. We're going to send you a copy. Just make sure you're in America. If you're anywhere else outside of America, we're not shipping to you. If you're not in America, don't do the connect. Only in America we'll ship the copy to your first 50 states. Thank you for that.
So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.